Join us today on the Water Table. This episode is filmed live from Farmfest in Morgan, Minnesota. I hope you enjoy the great guests. This is the Water Table.
A chance to hear the agricultural side of these issues.
Place for people to go find information and education.
Water management is just going to become even more critical into the future.
How misunderstood what we do is.
I would encourage people to open their minds and listen to this dialogue.
I'm here with Tim Erickson. Tim, why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you're doing at Farmfest.
Well, thanks, Justin. My name is Tim Erickson. I'm with Prinsco, going on almost 12 years now, and handle egg sales in western Minnesota. You get to do eastern Minnesota with me, so that's fun. But yeah, we're here talking to people about our product and the benefits of tiling.
Good.
Who are you today?
Justin Sander, sales rep from eastern Minnesota with Prinsco. So Tim and I have known each other for quite some time. We've been in various roles with the company before sales, so it's been a friendship and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great. We have been in a lot of different parts of the business, which probably benefits us when we talk to people about what we do. So yeah. Exactly.
So at Farmfest, what's one of the most fun things that you get to see or do at Farmfest?
Well, I think it's pretty cool just because I come from a farming background and still do a little bit to just see the equipment. You know, it just continues to get more sophisticated, larger. The technology and equipment nowadays is just amazing, and it's fun to just see what's new in the farming world. What I also like from our perspective at Prinsco is that no matter how new anything is out there, we continue to talk to people who know that if they don't do the basics right when they're farming, none of the technology is going to matter, none of the equipment will matter. So it's fun to kind of have cemented in our beliefs that people really have to manage their water well. And so those are some of the conversations we have. And so it actually helps me, even though it's a little bit intimidating to see all this iron around, to know that we really do play a critical part in farmers' success. So,
yep.
How about you? What do you see when you're looking around?
I mean, it's fun to be here. It's exciting. It's just a hot time of year.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it too. But farming is very innovative, and that's what's always surprised me is there's still the old way to do things, and it works. But there's still a way to innovate and grow and change and just become way more efficient.
Yeah.
Technology is just blowing up. It's just, you see drones everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just can't fathom what it's going to be like, coming into the future with all that innovation. But yeah,
and I'm a bit older than you, so I use this a lot where I just can't keep up with the times type of a thing. But when we see young farmers come in and talk into our booth and talk to us, what are you hearing from them?
Yeah, they understand the basics, like you said. They understand you have to manage your water table.
Yeah.
They absolutely know that that's critical, and that's the first thing you do.
Mm-hmm.
I am still surprised, though, that we do still hear people, especially in August in central Minnesota at Farmfest, typically the dry season, people will still walk up and say, I don't need tile. It's dry.
Yeah.
Why do I need tile?
Yeah.
But, yeah. It's not dry forever.
Right.
And it's not dry in the spring when you're trying to plant.
Exactly.
So it's just the timing of the season.
Yeah. Yep. No, and it's also interesting that we hear people come into the booth who say, boy, I wish I would have started tiling sooner. So you contrast the people who think, well, it's too dry, I don't need it, to the guys who say, man, I wish I'd have done this 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
Yep.
And so it's always fun to it can be one person to the next. Sometimes we can be having two separate conversations in our booth, and they're the exact opposite conversations. So
Yep.
it's pretty neat to see that.
It's fun for me to have a guy come in that is so excited about drainage,
Yeah.
that has done it for so long, and to also have a guy standing there waiting to ask questions with the opposite perspective.
Yeah.
And I almost don't even have to do anything. I can just kind of just filter or
Yeah.
create the conversation,
Yeah.
and they'll just have a conversation. I'll just kind of sit back,
Yep.
and they'll look at me, for, hey, what's your input on this?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
So that's fun to see when that just kind of naturally happens
Yeah.
with farmers collaborating with each other here.
Yeah. Which is, I think, a big part of why farmers come to these events, is because they know they can learn from one another, but they can learn from the vendors, they can learn about different equipment. And I think that's part of our role when we do these shows. Even though it's hot and it's the middle of summer and all that, there are still people out there who want to learn. And I think the guys who really do well over time are just never done learning. And a lot of what we see here tends to be the same faces, year after year. Sometimes we have the same conversations with the same people year after year.
Yep.
And yet, I think it's just helping them to cement in their mind, okay, this is the right thing. What we're spending our money on here is good for us and the right thing for our operation. So.
Yep. Yeah. To piggyback off of that, it's refreshing to see that we need to continue to manage these farms. So when they purchase a new farm, the first thing that they're doing, how do I find tile? I mean, I've had customers tell me to bring tile to a field or have tile delivered to a field before they even purchased it. They wanted it delivered before the auction so that every one of their neighbors knew that they were buying that farm. I'm this invested in it.
And it needs tile.
And it needs tile, yes.
Yeah. Yep. I thought it was also interesting. I heard a guy yesterday who was bidding on some land not too long ago and ended up not getting it. But he knew just a year ago it had been pattern tiled. And so he talked to the guy who ended up buying it afterwards and said, why did you want this so bad? And he said, how many times do you buy a piece of land that you don't have to do anything to it?
Right.
And so I think it speaks to the value of it as well.
Yep. Turnkey farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not around. No, along those lines, too, I had a conversation with a guy this morning who has been around quite a while, and he said it's funny, some people think that the land is almost all tiled. Do you hear that much?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Yep. Every show you get someone that walks in the booth, haven't you got the whole country, all the ground tiled already? And it's like, no, we're not even close.
Yeah.
We're not even close. You
Yeah.
know? And there's innovation within tiling too. So
Yeah.
it's not that people will change their systems or anything, but they might adapt a new practice on the field or on the farm, and water quality will become a thing in the future. So
Are you hearing, in our booth, are we having more conversations about water quality?
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's on the forefront of everyone's mind. A lot of people come in and they ask, what's the future of drainage look like? How long will we be able to drain?
Yeah.
So, and it's just, it creates great conversations, and farmers really are the stewards of the land. They are there to take care of it.
Yep.
They own it. They take more pride in it than anyone else. So.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: at these, when you do farm shows, do you sell a lot of tile at them?
Not really. No, it's more relationships. It's more education.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of the guys that stop in, they've already bought their tile for the year.
Yeah.
So they're just stopping in saying thanks. Yeah, I got it delivered, or we go over a few little things here and there, and
Right.
so it's not a pressure sales here.
No. I guess if we could put that message out, feel free to walk into the booth and say hi. We're not going to try to sell you a bunch of tile.
Right.
What's the number one question at a farm show?
I don't need to tell you, but what's the price for orange?
Yes.
The number one question at every farm show, every season, what's the price for orange?
Yeah.
Yep.
Although it is interesting now, we've been having more conversations about 3-inch.
Yeah.
And what do you see in the future for that?
Yeah, so I've got a lot of contractors and a lot of farmers that are starting to open their eyes up to it. Like when during the COVID times, pricing and stuff was inflated, and 3-inch looked a lot more appealing then.
Yep.
And the nice part is, guys that tried it, now we're a couple years past it, they've got a little data, and they look at it and they say, man, that's one of the nicest farms I got.
Mm-hmm.
We tightened up the spacings, we got a little smaller laterals, so we invested about the same amount of money had we gone 4-inch, but with the tighter spacings, they're happier with it.
Yep. Yeah, and I represent Southwest Minnesota, and there's still a lot of guys who use 5-inch, and for very good reasons too. And it's interesting when I have conversations with those guys who are really used to that, and I mentioned that some guys are going to 3-inch now, and they kind of scratch their head and wonder about that, and that's fine and fair, because not every piece of ground is the same, and it's a matter of what you're comfortable with too. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I even heard a little bit about 6-inch laterals yesterday. So it's just whatever people are comfortable with.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it might take a little longer to pay back, but if you can put it in yourself and you're comfortable with that investment, maybe that's right for your farm.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's really not our job to tell people what to do.
Right.
Yeah, we just like to help them get there.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Water Table Podcast. On behalf of Tim Erickson and myself, I'd like to thank Farmfest for having the event again. It's a lot of fun, and look forward to doing it again next year.
Well, thanks for listening to this episode. I have so much fun recording these. I hope you have as much fun listening as I do recording. These episodes are available on all major podcast platforms as well as YouTube. So find them and download them when you can. Thanks for joining us.